Welcome to how to build and program your STELLA Q2. First, you'll need to gather all of the various pieces for your STELLA Q2. Make sure you have plenty of wires. A battery. We're actually using two different batteries in this one. We're using the smaller battery or the larger battery will do. In this case, we're going to use a smaller battery because we're going to put it in a drone housing. So once you have that attached, make sure you attach it to your RP2040 Thing Plus. Okay. And make sure you look and see which way the wires are supposed to go for the quick connects. For the quick connects, the metal wires go towards the PCB board, where you see the metal showing. And slide in pretty smoothly. But I always like to, I dropped one. I always like to brace the back of the quick connectors when I'm putting them in. So I line it up and pop it on in here. You shouldn't have to push too hard to get them to connect. Now we put on our real-time clock. Okay, it requires a battery in the back there, a CR1220. And make sure you have the positive side in the back and the negative side in the front as it shows. Boom. Okay. Then we use the quick connect here and we pop it to our triad. There we go. And then our triad is going to go out into our screen. There's our screen. And we plug it on in. Make sure everything's nice and tight. Okay, click on our button here, check it out, make sure that the power is getting through to all of the chips. And it looks like it's going through just fine. So all the LEDs are on, indicating the power is on. And there you go. Now, in order to program it, you must have use a USB-C data cable, not just charging cable, and you hold down the boot button on your RP2040. And when you hold down the button, the boot button on there, RP1, RP2 should show up on as part of your locations on your screen. Okay, and then you navigate. See, there's RP1, RP2, and then you go ahead and navigate to where your STELLA files are located. And you drag and drop those STELLA files. In this case, you're going to do the UF2 first, so find the UF2 that you need to drag and drop into RP1, RP2. There you go. Place it in there, and it's going to take a minute or two to copy. Alright, and now once it's copied, your RP1, RP2 drive will dismount, and mounted in its place should be CircuitPy. If CircuitPy comes up, you can see inside there it's got its own library and code and all that sort of stuff, but we're going to copy over that. So we're going to go to our library and code. Okay, so we are going to navigate to our code and library under code and libraries and drop it into CircuitPy. Okay, make sure it replaces everything in, and it takes a bit of time to upload. And once it's done uploading, you should be able to go into your new editor and click on serial and see if there's code spooling through. And as you can see, there's code spooling through at the bottom there. Now we're going to set the real time clock, and for that we go to our test codes, go to real-time clock interactive console, and drag and drop it into CircuitPy and have it copy over. And once you have it copied over, you should see a little menu down at the bottom of your serial. Now, in order to set the time, we go to time.is/UTC, and we check out the time and UTC over there, and we go back to our mu editor. Okay, and again, you can see down at the bottom where the serial is loaded that you can enter the time in there. Okay, and I like to go back and forth between the two, just to make sure that I have the correct time and also that I put in the correct lead time. I usually try to have the time go about 5 seconds ahead of schedule in the mu editor. That way, when I click save, the save doesn't do it, quite automatically, but gives it a little bit of time, so I can try and get it as close as possible to the time/UTC. And once we have it all entered in and check it out and reload, we should be able to see that the time is correct in UTC. And again, you can go through the same process again and reset the time if you need to. Okay, just remember that to set the time, you need to go into your test codes to do that. And those test codes are there for a good reason. If you have any other kinds of troubles in here, it's great to go through from, 1 on up, test code number 1 on up, just to see where your problem might lie. Okay, and after you've gotten the test code or the time set, then you go ahead and drag and drop your out of code and libraries, the code.py. Okay, and it's going to take, again, another minute or two to upload. And once it does, you should check your serial down at the bottom there, and it's starting to boot up and things are starting to look good again. It's taking its measurements and the time is set and correct. So now that we've done all this, now it's time to pack it into the case. So everything's looking good here. Alright, so once the code is running, then you get your daisy chain and your backing, and you have all of your 3D printouts, your inserts, and all that. That is a nice 3D printed drone casing designed by Paul Mirel again. And I'm showing you some breakout points that you have in the corners there under the clips. And then you have 2 breakout points under those clips over there, which hold the triad sensor. So what I'm going to do is sort of dig those out, and I'm using some pliers to do so for this particular purpose here. You rip those out. Make sure those are smoothed down. If they're not smoothed down, the case won't fit on quite as nice as you would like. So it's good to get like a little hobby knife or something like that and possibly smooth down those divots if there's any left. Okay, and there's your drone casing, your backing. Okay, you also have those clips underneath there, and I'm just going to wiggle those a little bit because those are pretty sensitive and I don't want to break the clips. Okay, something I may or may not have done before. Okay, and slightly off camera here, but I'm getting a good grip on that. Alright, and once we're ready, once we have it all ready to go, there's the backing that needs to have its little pieces pulled out, so you can see the little windows there, and then just go right in there again. I might push on it with the pliers, pull it right out with the pliers there. Okay, and just break out real nicely. Okay. Now the cool part is that backing there provides a nice little baffle there, and so with the active LEDs on the triad sensor, you can lay that up against, say, like a broad flat leaf, and even indoors do like a indoor demonstration showing how you do that. So now I'm going to place the screen. Okay, push that in, and I like to sort of like leave a little wire out there. So I take off the daisy chain a bit, and then I start snapping these holsters in. Okay, yeah. And so I'll go around and do that for each of the items here: the button, the battery. on and so forth. Again, I do loosen that a little bit because there's a nice little space there to pop the battery in. I'll put a little clip on there. Okay, nice and snug. Alright, and I do a little bit of possible folding there underneath of the RP24 here. Yeah. Now, I think I might have been thinking about one of the other ones. I think it was the Helio that I have sort of a fun way of snaking the wires around. There's a few different ways you can snake these wires around and make them look good. This one thankfully doesn't have too many wires. There we go. Clock is in, and you see messed around with the wires a bit. There we go. See, and I tucked it in the wrong way. You tuck it in underneath first, and then it should lay in there quite snug. Yeah, and I've made a few of these already, and yeah, thankfully, you know, it's pretty easy to get all in there. And now I've gone and done. So basically, don't take that wire out. It's not necessary for me to have taken it out like I did. Alright, then we're going to place our microprocessor in there, and I want to check the wires to make sure they're not obstructing anything. Make sure this is nice and snug and snapped on. Okay, there we go. Alright, you still got some dangling wires, and now you hook them all up into the clips here. Now, I decided I wanted to take that back off and and try again. I don't like the way the wires are wrapped underneath. And so we just jumped to where I got it going in quite well. Better than it was. Okay. And again, go ahead and wrap those wires so that they're out of the way. Okay. You can wrap them pretty snug. You don't want to pull too hard. There we go. If we get it just right, it will stay right in place. This one's a little tricky with the power, so I like to slide it in along the side. There we go. Not popping out anymore. And then ringing some wires around these nice stands here. Said we don't want them to come off. And my big old thumbs trying to work them into the little tiny spots and all that. It's just, just a lot of fun. And once you get that worked in, you move on to the next wires. And again, just make sure that they're in nice and neat, that they're nice and snug. They're not going to, you know, bounce around too much inside of the casing. Alright, so once we have all the wires tucked in, it's time to put on the backing. Okay, and we'll try just snap it right in. It should snap in pretty easily. If it does not, it's worth checking out and seeing and making sure that you have all the bits and pieces in plastic clear, that the wires aren't obstructing it. Okay, and then you see the two little holes up at the top there. Those are little indicator windows. There's the LEDs right behind them. I did not have clear PLA when I was doing this, so I just made them white. They seem to work pretty well, even when they're white PLA. It's thin enough to see the color through there, and it spreads it out enough. All right, and that is your STELLA Q2. And I want to say thank you for joining me and being a STELLA enthusiast. We're very excited about everything coming out of STELLA, and we hope you are as well. Until next time, happy building.